Hello, I'm Tagi Kanagawa, and welcome to TNG Academy. This multi-part series is aimed at being the one and only guide you'll need to not only start grip racing in FR Legends, but to also excel in it. We'll be going over the fundamentals of how FR Legends physics work, how to drive at the limits of these physics, and how to have a proper race while carefully outmaneuvering your opponent. For this first video though, we'll just be focusing on the fundamentals of the physics and breaking it into these main topics. What are the differences between toge attack and non-toge attack tracks? Why even race on non-toge attack tracks? And is there any way to set up my car to be faster for grip racing? And finally, how do I stop slipping mid-corner? Now that last question we aren't going to dive too deep into because I'm going to give driving at the limit its own separate video. But I still want everyone watching to have at least an idea of what to practice and focus on at the end of this video. So let's get started answering the first question. What are the differences between toge attack and non-toge attack tracks? Simply put, the difference is the total amount of grip the car has and what happens when the limit of grip is reached. Toge attack tracks have more grip, and when the grip limit is reached, the car will begin to understeer and progressively slow down as you ask for more turning than the car is capable of. Non-toge attack tracks have less grip, which means the cars accelerate slower, have longer braking zones, and the cars reach their grip limit faster. When the limit of grip is reached, the car will immediately snap outwards into a drift. No matter what physics you're on though, the limit of grip can only be exceeded by steering, and unlike in a realistic game, accelerating and braking do not take away from your grip budget. Your grip budget is determined strictly by your current speed and nothing else, whether you're on toge attack tracks or non-toge attack tracks. Now that you know the differences between the two handling models, let's talk about why I, as well as everyone else in the TNG crew, run non-toge attack tracks. Simply put, running the same track over and over again is really boring. Since the start, we only had Gunsai as the toge attack track, and now it's only up to 2 tracks with the addition of NKC. So, if you learn to race on non-toge attack tracks, suddenly you go from 2 tracks to 12 tracks to learn and master. You are bound to always find a track and layout you enjoy running, so you can crush your friends with your hours of carefully tailored preparation. Apart from that, non-toge attack tracks simply offer a more interesting driving experience. It forces you to learn to drive smoothly, not just to go fast, but to simply survive the corner without slipping and losing seconds just from one mistake. It keeps you on the edge of your seat as you try balancing outrunning your opponent with keeping your car attached to the road. Even if you drive on toge attack religiously, driving non-toge attack tracks over time is going to give you more fine control that can transfer over to shaving off those tenths from your Gunsai record. To make a long story short, non-toge attack tracks raise the skill ceiling and make races all the more exciting between 2 evenly matched opponents who line up. Now let's talk about the third question that's asked way too many times. Is there any way to set up my car to be faster for grip racing? No, absolutely not, and I feel bad for the people who've probably put hours into trying to perfect their car's setup when the suspension settings and tire width are all purely cosmetic and make no measurable difference to how the car drives. Not even the weight of your car will affect your performance. Every car has the same universal handling model, which to me is part of the charm of this game. There is no meta that people are forced into. It's simply pick a car you like and make it look how you want. There are only 2 stats that actually affect how your car drives: horsepower and tire grip. Horsepower does the obvious, and tire grip affects everything: your acceleration, braking distances, and the limit of grip. Think of tire grip almost like a multiplier for your horsepower. It's not a 1-to-1 conversion, but a 400 horsepower car on the grippiest tire is going to be on pace with a 700 horsepower car on stock tires. This is why it's important to make sure that you and whoever else you're racing with are on the same tire compound, because running the same horsepower on different tires is going to put one of you at a huge disadvantage. In conclusion, suspension settings and tire width only affect how the car looks. But if having a certain amount of suspension travel makes you feel like you're in more control, then go for it. The only thing we can actually tune is how our brain perceives the car's movement. And I personally just try to make the car look good and make sure the wheels don't clip the fenders while I'm driving. Now let's talk a little bit about our last question. How do I stop slipping mid-corner? Simple, you don't. In all seriousness though, the thing that everyone needs to learn no matter what is that you need to steer less than you think you do. I want you to get used to the feeling of possibly running wide into the guardrail because you refuse to add more steering input. Brake a little mid-corner if you have to, take different lines, but that's just if you're brand new to gripping. The problems come when people get too comfortable doing this. Sure, they stop slipping, but they're also just pretty slow. They might think that they're at the limit and that the people trying to pass them are just driving recklessly, but in reality, they're just blocking people who are teetering on the edge of grip. So go on and practice steering as little as possible, and in the next video I'll show you exactly what you need to do to stay on the knife's edge of grip throughout every corner. Thank you very much for watching. If you feel so inclined, please subscribe, leave a like, and discuss the video in the comments below. Stay safe.